Hi, thanks for sticking with me. Now we've made it to my favorite part of the party. Now I'm going to give you an overview of the different books that Usborne has to offer. It's just going to be a brief overview. There's no way that I could go over the entire collection. The entire collection is over 1,600 titles. So I could probably talk about it for weeks, but I'm pretty sure that you don't want me to. So I'm going to start with the books that are for the youngest readers. My personal favorites are the texture books. These books are very sturdy board books. You can't bend them, so they stand up to those little destructive hands. This happens to be one of our more popular series. This is the That's Not My series. As you see, this is That's Not My Lamb. I also have That's Not My Dolly. There's also That's Not My Dinosaur, Pony, Puppy, Kitten, Bunny. You name it, we probably have it. I really like this because not only are they sturdy, but the repetitive language is something that children love. And so every page starts off with, That's Not My Lamb, until you get to the last page that says, That's My Lamb. His ears are so soft. And each page also has these little texture spots, which little children just love. Now I do want to mention that if you're wanting to start a That's Not My collection, we do have a That's Not My Animal Starter collection that is 5 books. A little bit more bang for your buck. Getting a collection is one of the ways to save money with Usborne Books. So if you're looking into that, that's a great way to do it. We also have My First Word book. This is recommended for ages 9 months and up. I love it because of the bright illustrations. It covers a variety of topics. And again, very sturdy pages. These are also cardboard pages. It's also a hardcover book, so it's very sturdy. My children go through books like crazy if they're not made up to the right standards, so that's a big thing for me. We also have the Usborne Alphabet Picture Book. This is recommended for 3 years and up. Again, board book pages. Beautiful illustrations, great colors, and I love that it has these little tabs to kind of make it easier for little hands to flip the pages. This is also part of the Home Library Starter Collection number 2. So if you're looking to start a collection for your little one, you might want to check into that one. Moving on to a little bit older reader, we have One Night in the Zoo. This is a story about what the animals do when the zookeepers have gone home for the night. Now, nobody seems to know what they do except for you. You'll know the secret. This has rhyming text, which is also something that little kids love, especially when it comes to bedtime stories. This is one of my son's favorite bedtime stories. This is also part of the award-winning picture book collection with 4 other books, and let me show you why. Look at those illustrations. They're gorgeous. This is also an accelerated reader. So if you have a child who's in a school with an accelerated reading program, you want to get them this book because it can be used towards that program. And that is something that's just huge. Now this one is another one of my son's absolute favorite bedtime books because he's in love with penguins. And this is a story about this little guy here, Pipkin. Pipkin is a very inquisitive penguin. And can you guess what his question is in this book? He wants to know how big a million is. So this book takes us through various numbers. It starts off with 1, goes to 10, 100, 1,000, and then all the way in the back is the answer to what does a million look like. Now, you open up this flap, there's a poster inside, shows you exactly what a million looks like, but I'm not going to ruin that for you. I'm going to save that for when you and your little one read this at bedtime. This is also part of the Pipkin collection, so there are 3 other books in that collection, all featuring this little guy. The next one I want to show you is Secrets of the Apple Tree. This is part of the Light Shine series of books. We also have the Secrets of the Seashore. Now what the Light Shine series is you go to these pages where you see this beautiful apple tree. And if you hold this page up to the light, it will reveal what the habitat looks like and the animals staying in that habitat. So it's kind of like it's got a secret code on each page. This is also an accelerated reader. So this is also a book that if your child's school has an accelerated reading program will benefit them. We also have one of my favorites, A Squirrel's Tale. This is an interactive book. This squirrel sits in a little plastic pocket on the front and comes off. You open the pages. Let me see if I can manage this one. And you slip the squirrel through the little hole, and he comes in and goes on a little trip trying to find his lost nuts. And so he always goes left to right on each page, which is very important when you're teaching a child how to read, that they always go from left to right. He teaches fine motor skills just in holding the squirrel like a pencil and using him to trace the line, which also encourages early writing skills. You can only turn one page with this at a time, so if you have little ones who like to turn multiple pages, who get a little impatient, this kind of slows them down a little bit, because if they turn too many pages at a time, they're going to lose the squirrel. We also have, if your children like this book, there's a mouse about the house. Same concept, same kind of book, only it's about a mouse that, of course, is traveling through a house. Also, another thing that I like is if you happen to lose your squirrel, there's a template on the back to be able to build a new squirrel. So if you lose your squirrel, it's not the end of the world. You don't get to stop enjoying this book. You just cut another one out of paper. Another book that we have is Jonathan James and the What If Monster. This kind of helps kids deal with the what ifs in life, because this monster follows Jonathan James around and says, well, what if you get hurt every time a new opportunity comes up? And so, he kind of listens to this monster at first, and then he starts thinking, well, what if I don't do this? What if I miss this opportunity? And so, he kind of gets over the whole what ifs in life. And I think that's just a great message to send our children. This is part of the Graduation Inspiration Pack collection. It's also part of the Literature Picture Books collection, the Michelle Nelson Smith collection. So, if you're looking for this book, you can buy it on its own, or you can buy it in one of the collections, which also will have similar themes about them. We also have Underpants for Ants. Kind of a fun title. The title always kind of makes me laugh. This is a phonics reader. It's for beginning readers. It has rhyming text and phonics repetition. There are also guidance notes at the back of the book. So, parents who are reading with their child and kind of need some guidance as to, how to better their reading experiences, there's notes at the back of this book. This can also be found in the Foundational Skills collection, the Phonics Readers Complete Library, and Phonics Readers Starter Collection number 1. So if you're looking for this, you can buy it on its own, or you can buy it in one of those collections. Now this book I love. This is the complete book of Farmyard Tales. It comes with a CD. It's a combined volume, so it's several different books in one. CD will go through and read the stories. And one of the things I like about this is that this is a book that can really grow with your children. Because when they're little and they're either not reading and not into long stories, or they're starting to read on their own, you can read just the top of each page and it makes sense. So, for instance, it says, "It is time for breakfast. Curly is hungry." Curly's this little pig here. Or, if they are more advanced readers, or they're a child who wants to sit for a longer story, you can read both the top and the bottom part of the page. So, it still makes sense. It says, "It is time for breakfast. Mr. Boots gives the pigs their breakfast, but Curly is so small he does not get any. Curly is hungry." See, this story still makes sense. Another thing that's fun about this book that your children will love is that there's a little hidden yellow duck on every page in the book. So one of the things that children love is to go through and see if they can find that little yellow duck. Now this is Ted and Friends. This is also a phonics reader. This one has 12 different stories in one. It is a combined volume. Sorry. And it also has an audio CD that reads the stories to them. This was developed in consultation with a language expert to help children learn how to read. So this is not something where, somebody just threw a book together. The experts actually worked on this one. Now we'll move on to some of our more educational books. This is the See Inside Your Body book. This is part of the See Inside series. So we have See Inside Your Body. We also have a bunch of other See Insides books. One of the great things about it, the reason they're called See Insides, is because they have these great little flaps so that you can see inside the different systems. So this book takes you through different things in your body. Like as you can see, this is seeing inside your digestive system. You also see what happens when you breathe in air. This is a great book if you're homeschooling elementary aged kids, or even if you're not homeschooling. It's something that's great to kind of get them interested in what's going on with their body, the different things that they're learning in class. Now this book that I'm about to show you is my husband's favorite because it's about outer space. He's just a big kid. This is the Big Book of Stars and Planets. There are several in the Big Book series. These are informative books, lots of great facts about the solar system and beyond. And it's called the Big Book because it has these great flaps that open up and display so much. So it has so much information in this book. Next one I want to show you is the Usborne Science Encyclopedia. These are great. Do you remember your grandmother's encyclopedias, or maybe even your parents had them? Those big honking things. It was like 26 of them that sat on a shelf. This takes the place of those. This one happens to be about science. They also have ones about religion, world history, different subjects. It may not look like it's that big, but there's a ton of information in here. And there are internet links to sites that are reputable, have decent information on them. You don't have to worry about doing a Google search and not knowing where your children are going to end up on the internet. They can go to these. There's different activities. This one also has over 140 experiments that you can do with your child. So 140 experiments you can do at home to get them interested in science. Because really, the greatest impact you can have on their future is to get them interested in science and math and things like that, because that's really the way that our society is heading. The next thing I want to show you are the activity books. These are the wipe clean books. So they come with a little marker. You can draw on the pages and then wipe them clean so they can be used multiple times. It's a fun way for children to learn. This one's numbers and counting. We also have letters, doodling, math, all kinds of different wipe clean books. These are relatively inexpensive books, as most of our books are, and they go from 4 years of age and up. This one happens to be part of the Wipe Clean collection number 1. So if you're looking for an entire collection of these books, maybe for homework help, maybe just to kind of keep your children sharp over the summer while they're not in school, or maybe because you're homeschooling, we have collections of these. This one's fun, particularly for little girls who like to dress up dolls. This is the Sticker Dolly Dressing Weddings version. We have lots of Sticker Dolly dressings. So we have pop stars, princesses, fairies, weddings, all kinds of stuff. This one happens to be inspired by the royal wedding. So I don't know if you can tell, but this bride in the middle is supposed to be wearing a dress that resembles Kate Middleton's. And there are different pages in the book with dolls that they can dress up in different outfits. So this is really something that they can have a lot of fun with. And it's something that's great to take on trips. If you're making a road trip this summer, that the children are going to be in a car for a while and you want something to entertain them so that they're not listening to iPods, watching movies, playing video games, that kind of thing, this is a great book to have. This book is pretty awesome, especially for somebody like me who cannot make a paper airplane to save their life. This is 100 paper airplanes to fold and fly. In the beginning, you have all kinds of directions on how to make paper airplanes. And then you go through, and these are tear out pages so that when you make your paper airplane, it's got these neat designs on them. So it looks like a real airplane. So this is something that, had I had when I was younger, would have been amazing. Now I also want you to know that this is 100 paper airplanes to fold and fly. There is also 100 more paper airplanes and 200 paper airplanes to fold and fly. So if your child's into this, if you think this is something that would be like a great gift, there are other options than this one. Or, you can get them all. Another great book is the Big Maze book. And of course, this is pretty self-explanatory. You go through and there are a variety of different mazes for children to do. This is also a great one for road trips. Maybe it's something that you just kind of want to take with you if you're going out somewhere where children kind of have to be quiet and kind of stay in the background. This is something that will keep them busy. It's great. This is recommended for 6 years and up. We also, if they do all of these and they love it, there is also a second Big Maze book. We also have drawing, doodling, and coloring. This is fun because it kind of suggests what the children should do on each page, but they don't have to. So for instance, on this page, it says doodle patterns on the shells. They could do that. They could just color them. They could do anything that they wanted on these. And there are all kinds of different pages to go through. Different scenarios, different little options of things to draw. So that's another one that I recommend for children who are going to be going on long road trips or going somewhere where they kind of need to be able to stay quiet. It's something that's great to take to the doctor's office, something for them to do. Now we're going to go on to our oldest readers. Now, it has been 100 years since World War I. I'm not sure if anybody's aware of that. So, Usborne is celebrating that with various different World War I books for readers of all ages. This happens to be a nonfiction about World War I that's pretty great. It's got all kinds of awesome pictures in it. This is recommended for 10 years and up. So if this is something that your child might be interested in, boys are particularly interested in nonfictions. One of the things that I've heard from many parents is that their son didn't like to read until he picked up nonfiction books. And of course, you know, what boy isn't into wars and guns and tanks and boats and that kind of thing? We also have, this is a 50 card pack. It's fascinating facts, figures, and information about the most important planes, ships, tanks, and other vehicles from World War I. This is for 6 years and up. Let me just show you an example. So this is an example of the facts, both sides. So this is something that's fun if you just have somebody who's interested in this, or maybe they're doing a report on it. Like I said, it's easy to read, you know, fun, interesting facts. Another thing that I've been told little boys are very interested in. Now, I've been told, my children are young, so I'm going off of what other parents have told me, that Amy Wild, Animal Talker, is a very popular book, especially with the young girls. This is kind of a Dr. Dolittle for the new generation. There is a complete collection of the Amy Wild Animal Talker books. And of course, as you can guess, just from the title, Amy can talk to the animals. And she goes on different adventures. This one happens to be with her and this little dog here. And they're furry detectives. This is a book, as you can probably guess, all about spying. It's recommended for 8 years and up. It's part of the Discovery Adventures series. This is also internet linked. And it has access to the Usborne Ultra Message Decoder. So it talks all about different ways that the government has used to spy on people. Different gadgets that they have. You know, just a really neat book. And in case you couldn't guess, this is a book about owls. It's part of the Beginner's Animals collection. It's also part of Beginner's Library Collection number 1 and the Information Text Collection. It's all that a child wants to know about owls. It's an easy read for age 6 and up. It's also an accelerated reader book. Now these I'm quite excited about. I haven't had a chance to read them yet, but I can tell you, give me about a week and I'll have gone through them. These are the first 4 books of the Conspiracy 365 series. There is a Conspiracy 365 complete set, or you can buy them in, I believe it's 3 separate sets. This is about a 15-year-old fugitive, isolated and alone, hunted by the law and criminals alike. He must fight to survive the next 365 days. If you want to find out why, you have to read the book. And the last book that I'm going to show you tonight is The Last 13. This is sorry, the books fell down. This is an interesting little series that starts off with number 13 and goes all the way down to 1. It's part of the Last 13 subscription collection, which is going to be 13 books. This is about a boy named Sam, who is the first of the last 13 dreamers to be revealed. He's caught up in a covert battle to preserve life as we know it, and he must follow the clues to find 12 more dreamers. So it's kind of an interesting concept, definitely a fiction, but it's wonderful, and I'm sure that your children will love it. So those are all the books that I have to show you tonight. If there's anything else that you're interested in, please let me know. I'll be happy to discuss any of the books with you. And I hope that you have fun shopping for these books and that your children love them as much as I do. Thanks.